Topping today's news, 2 teenagers shot to death on Faith Avenue on Monday. The rogue officer arrested following a shootout with police denied bail. Demolition exercises begin on Abaco shanty towns, and the government defends its decision to reallocate funds from the National Commission on Disabilities. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News, and it is a pleasure to have you join us. Following a weekend marred by gun violence on Sunday at Wilson Track and Howard Island during the early morning hours on Monday, police were called to the scene of yet another fatal shooting here in the capital on Monday evening on Faith Avenue North, resulting in the death of 2 teenagers, 16 and 17 years old. According to reports, the victims were in a backyard when 2 unknown males entered the property and opened fire. Inspector Jcn White shares more details on this senseless killing.
When the officers responded, they observed 2 males who had sustained injuries. EMS was summoned to the scene. They determined that both males had no signs of life. Based on the information that these males were in an unfinished building, they were approached by an unknown assailant who fired gunshots in their direction. And subsequently, like I said, both males succumbed to those injuries while on scene.
Inspector White says police are concerned after the recent spate of murders, but are working to reassure the public.
As you can understand and certainly be aware that we are compassionate towards what's going on in our country. And as an organization, we are concerned. Any life loss is certainly a concern. And so we will not say that we cannot tell you how to feel about what's going on, but we can assure you that we as an organization are doing our very best to bring some calm and certainly to allay the fears of our community that we serve.
Police say the first victim, 16, suffered multiple gunshot wounds to his upper torso and attempted to seek refuge in the residence where he later collapsed and succumbed to his injuries, while the second victim, age 17, also sustained multiple gunshot wounds to his body and attempted to escape but collapsed and succumbed to his injuries in a nearby unfinished building. The double homicide takes the count to 31 murders so far this year. Police are appealing to members of the public. If you have any information on this incident, you can contact the Criminal Investigations Department or Crime Stoppers anonymously in Miami at 328-TIPS. That's 328-8477. Criminal investigators wasting no time charging a young police officer who turned rogue and is now facing multiple counts of attempted murder following a drive-by shooting in the Coconut Grove community and a subsequent gunfight with patrol officers who responded to that initial shooting. On Monday, CID presented former police constable Shando King, 23 years old, of Imperial Park, before Magistrate Shaka Seville, charged with 4 counts of attempted murder. King was also charged with 4 counts of possession of a firearm with the intent to endanger life, 2 counts of possession of an unlicensed firearm, and 3 counts of possession of ammunition. Police say King, who was the driver of a white Honda vehicle, along with his accomplices, shot and injured 23-year-old Tavares Paul, who was walking in the area of Exuma Street and Cordo Avenue on Sunday, February 18th. A short time later, King and his accomplices fired gunshots at responding police officers during a high-speed chase that ended with the suspects crashing near the Andre Rogers Baseball Stadium, where King was captured nearby after trying to climb the wall of Government High School, where he received lacerations. Police recovered 2 handguns and a quantity of ammunition from the scene. King was denied bail and will return to court on September 5th for a voluntary bill of indictment. However, his lawyers said they would apply for emergency bail. Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson revealed that negotiations between the union and the government has reached a standstill, preventing the industrial agreement signed in September of 2022 from being registered and put into effect. In a voice note sent to union members, Mrs. Wilson goes into detail on what demands the government is making of the union.
It is not registered because the acting director, Dominic Russell, is insisting that we insert 2 formal observations and 5 informal observations for each teacher. We cannot agree to this, and we have rejected this outright, and our answer is no. So we are at an impasse. Also note that there is no policy, no policy for observations.
Mrs. Wilson also explains to union members that each teacher has the right to refuse anyone into the classroom to observe them because there is no policy that allows this.
If they come to your classroom to observe you, simply ask them to provide the circular that gives them the authority to, first of all, enter your class, and secondly, to observe you. We were accompanied to the meeting today by the union's lawyers, and the matter will now move to the industrial tribunal, and we may be calling on all of you members for industrial action. We will keep you updated. Stay tuned. This is Belinda Wilson, your president. Solidarity forever. And always remember, the union makes us strong.
Jcn will continue to monitor the situation in the event of the industrial action taking place or the two sides reach an agreement. Meanwhile, according to Public Service and Labor Minister Pierre Glover-Roll, 12 of the 23 industrial agreements signed by the Davis administration have been registered. In late January, the Unregulated Communities Task Force in the Ministry of Public Works was on Abaco assessing unregulated communities with plans for demolition exercises. According to officials, over 400 eviction notices were issued in 3 major shanty towns, with each given 28 days to vacate. Well, the 28 days are up, and the demolition of those illegal communities began today. During the assessment last month, Minister of Public Works Clay Sweeting revealed that 9 generators powering many of the homes in those shanty towns were removed for health and safety reasons. He said the government is standing firm on the issue that individuals cannot simply come to the Bahamas and build anywhere without proper authorization. The government has also has plans to address shanty towns on Grand Bahama, Eleuthera, and Andros. And finally, in this segment, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, Chester Cooper, announced a number of expansions to major investments on Grand Bahama. At this year's Grand Bahama Business Outlook, Minister Cooper said Carnival Cruise Lines is investing over $600 million on the island, which could be a significant boost to the economy.
Carnival's Project Celebration Key will be a $600 million project that will welcome nearly 4 million guests annually to Grand Bahama by 2028. And over the next 2 decades, the project will drive substantial growth in Bahamian employment, gross domestic product, and government revenues. An economic impact assessment estimates that the development, construction, and ongoing operation of Celebration Key over the next 2 decades will create over 2,500 direct Bahamian jobs and generate $3.2 billion in incremental revenues to government and contribute $9.7 billion in incremental economic impact to the Bahamas GDP.
Minister Cooper says despite recent controversies on the island, the Davis administration is committed to uplifting Grand Bahama, a plan that includes the development of the Royal Caribbean Cruise Port and the $300 million Eden Resort.
I do want to point out that in recent times, our tourism sector has navigated through very turbulent waters, contending with negative press and perceptions that threaten to tarnish the allure of our nation. One spate of bad press was triggered by an alleged incident here in Grand Bahama. However, it's crucial to recognize that these challenges also present us with an opportunity to come together, to innovate, in a remarkable partnership of Royal Caribbean, ITM Group, and MSC, we will soon see formally announced its plans to develop an 80 million cruise port and water park at the Freeport Harbor. The development will have the capacity for 20,000 passengers a day and a total of 1.5 million visitors a year by the end of 2027.
The aviation minister also announced that the Grand Bahama International Airport is entering the demolition phase, promising that construction will be completed in 2025. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.